Hello there YouTube, this is Eric McRae, Asparagus Party, and welcome to Eric's Anime and Gaming Commentary channel. In this video I'm going to outline my current long-term YouTube strategy and explain why I've dedicated myself to such a concept, which I believe you'll find is quite different from what a lot of my contemporaries have embraced. But first, for a sort of summation of the backdrop, though we already covered most of it in part 1, not too long ago I started really considering my view counts and feeling kind of emotionally pressured by what I was seeing. And I kind of caught myself in the act of making decisions on a basis of view count alone that were kind of leading me to embrace the YouTube meta for a while. And the more I stepped back, so to speak, and really looked at it and analyzed it, I saw this concept as kind of ludicrous, and that led me to ask myself, is this a path I really want to go? Is this something I want to commit to just do what everyone else is doing in the way they're doing and trust that what they're doing is right and sort of concede and sort of give over that ground to them? And the answer I came up with for myself is absolutely not. So that really led me to then buckle down, start getting rid of my shorts and say, how am I going to do this? How am I going to approach YouTube in a way that's going to work for me and the kind of content I aim to produce, where in a world view where 60-second shorts just really don't cut it for me. So I came up with this system, and it's kind of a multi-step system, somewhat numbered, outlining certain things I will do and will not do. So number 1 I put down is not to judge my videos too hard by view counts. Now this might sound ludicrous to you, that might sound absurd, it might sound like it's a strategy for failure, and I can understand why you'd think that way at a first glance. But I'm going to explain it to you with some analogies that I think will clarify that it absolutely is not of that sort. And I can bring up investing as a perfect example, which is typologically related in every way. So let me open with this question. Have you ever participated in an investing seminar? I don't know if you have, but I certainly have in recent times by groups like IA Financial and some others, and of course they outline various investing strategies, getting into stocks and bonds and all that. However, one of the things they were always clear to outline is that a good investor does not simply panic and react to drops in a stock or drops in an investment. In the world of investing, in the world of stocks, some investments have periods where they grow for quite some time and then they drop for a while and then they grow again, and overall for those ones that are very profitable, the growth is always heading in an upward and forward direction, even if it's not an overnight process. And the understanding we're taught is that no wise investor is quick to cancel investments. Of course, there are investments that are not worthy of continuity. So you might have an investment that it's only going to continue a downward trend and it's not going to give you your value back. It's just going to suck up your assets and give you no returns. However, how fast you can discern something like that is what's up to debate. And the reality is it's not that quickly. You have to watch your assets. You have to watch your investments closely, and when you start seeing a pattern, when you start seeing a trend after a period of time, that's when you act. Now consider that analogy for YouTube views. It is true that even producing quality, good content, both the content you like and want to produce and the quality, the kind of quality content that there actually is a need for on YouTube, even if not always does the YouTube community perceive it immediately, even videos like that can be subject to having low views. That's perfectly fine and perfectly normal. Again, the problem is we take a look at our YouTube channel pages and we start seeing the videos that score big quickly, that had a growth spurt in a short period. So for example, for me, in my case, this would be like videos that got 600 views, like my reaction videos to Corey Kenshin's Try Not to Laugh challenges, and some of my other ones that got 400 views or so. And some of these got that in maybe a day or 2 days. And then I'm comparatively looking at videos that had a much higher production value and possibly more meaning and impact for the overall health of the YouTube community, and they're sitting at maybe 3 views and maybe 5-10 days has passed. And it's easy to pass judgment and say that's not working out. And the problem is, when YouTube producers, when content creators consider how they invest in video production, they're not simply just deleting the video they already created. In fact, many don't do that. That's probably not even so much of an issue, though some might. But what they're going to do is to delete the typological example of the product in a lot of cases. So there's such a risk that you start looking through your YouTube channel, you see the videos that got 4 views, 5 views, and been sitting that way for a long time, and assuming that's always going to be it, that's always going to be how things go, you start making decisions for what kind of content you'll produce, where that kind of content is no longer a part of it. Things that look like that kind of content is no longer a part of it. Things that sound like that kind of content is no longer a part of it. And the danger is, that's not a guarantee that that's the kind of content you should be producing, that you now start working yourself into. And there's also no guarantee that that content you produced previously will forever be in that kind of standing, that kind of low standing where it's not getting many views or any attention. And I can clarify how this works in a different way. Consider the principle of the law of consistency. So you can have this person who quickly aborts every kind of video project concept on the basis of whatever's trending on YouTube, and simply strategically targets based on demand. And now the assumption is made that the moment you achieve success with this model, that's kind of proving itself true. The problem is, now because you already aborted all those video projects and didn't hold them out for the long-term run, there is no guarantee we really have that they would have forever remained low in views. And the principle of the law of consistency ties to this in that, so imagine if you kept producing content. You produce a high quality video that you, despite whatever the YouTube community says its demands are, despite whatever the leadership orchestrating YouTube as a platform says is needed or is the way to do things, you produce something you know is 100% quality content. In spite of that, 2 views, you do it again, 2 views or 4 views, 5 views, and you're thinking this is going nowhere. Well, be consistent. You keep producing content. You keep producing content. You keep producing content. And that's the reality, is that you don't really get anywhere if you just quit. If you keep producing that content, granted it is genuine quality content, then maybe one day in the future, just one of your videos hits it big. And that's all it takes in YouTube. I don't think many people are grasping that concept lately. You don't need every video to be an overnight star with 700,000 plus views. It only takes one popular video to expose your channel and create a demand, maybe 2 at the most. So eventually, for whatever reason, one of the quality videos you've produced goes viral or potentially viral. So let's say you've produced 80 videos that have 3 to 4 views, and this video you produced that happened to go viral is of the exact same kind of character and kind of flavor, speech methodology, and everything relatable to what just went viral. Now you have this one video with maybe 700,000 again views or 4 million views, whatever it is. What does that speak for the reality of the rest of the videos on your channel, considering if people truly like the content you produced in that one video, there is a high probability not only that they'll simply subscribe and only wait for the next video, or subscribe rather, but that they'll click your channel, check out your other content, and start tuning in, and then suddenly overnight realize there has been a hidden gold mine of value in this channel that's been relatively obscure up until this point. This is the point I'd bring in for not judging by view counts. It's very easy in the early times of your launch to assume your channel is going nowhere based on these low view counts. And yes, there is algorithm to consider, there's many factors, and we always have to do due diligence to question whether we've really truly put our all in this. Are we being lazy with our thumbnails? Are we slacking off on this? Are we slacking off on that? But that all considered, none of this guarantees that the meta is accurate and perfectly trustworthy all the time. So what happens is we suffer to a moment of self-doubt. We succumb to it. We see the moment that things look bad and we call it quits maybe too easily, when all along all we needed to do was just persevere a little longer according to the principle of consistency. Patience, time, effort, quality production. Eventually your content probably will become exposed. And now the problem is, for the people who succumb and buckle easily to the pressure, and this is the same principle, this goes way past YouTube. I think it's the same for anything in life. You know, when somebody starts pressuring you, whether it be your spouse, you know, your wife, or maybe the husband in the case of wife, your children, your boss, you know, whoever, where's the money going to come from? Where's this going to come from? Where's that going to come from? And it's sad because the questioning is valid in a real way. It occupies kind of a place between responsibility and morality, but also very much between abuse, depending on the context of how it's used. There are times where you have to ask, are you being realistic in your approach, and self-analyze. Am I using funds appropriately? Am I extracting funds in a way that's wise and sustainable? But there are other times where people use the same technique as psychological warfare methodology to simply shut you down prematurely, because instinctually some part of them perceives you actually have a valid platform and you are a threat. And they are not looking, the people who do want you to fail, which, believe it or not, I'm sorry, this is not a fairy pixel and beautiful rainbow world. There are people who want you to fail even when you're doing what's right and what should be done. That is just how it is. The people who are consciously wanting you to fail are not looking at the present you who has 2 views. They've already understood on an instinctual level, in 2 years you'll have 500,000 views, and they see you as a threat. To them, it is highly beneficial if you abort yourself and succumb to the meta and conform to what's popular. And now, if you do so, 2 things can happen. One, potentially everybody in the community of viewers and content consumers are lessened. The access to something we would have benefited from and really enjoyed is now taken away from us and won't exist. Or else, that stuff does come into exist. You failed to meet the demand that was actually real, that maybe even the people didn't know they had this need yet of a certain type of content. Well, now someone else is starting to produce it, and they're going to be the ones who are going to explode up and get a platform, not you. So I really don't think that pure view count judging is wise. I think consistent video production, quality production is wise. Whether I've attained that myself yet or not might be debatable. I obviously have a lot of room for improvement, but I am 100% certain if I produce videos myself, for example, on the quality of like my video on whether Tree of Savior is viable for playing in 2023, if I made videos like that, even though that only has maybe 400 views right now, though it has shown growth over time, and I kept doing it over and over and over and over and over the course of a year, 2 years, 3 years, I will be somebody. I will be popular. I will be known. I will be receiving income from my videos. That is how it is. We've accepted the idea that we have to buckle over to the meta and succeed everything we have to a concept of fads. But fads come and go. And by the way, the meta is dangerous. So I'm going to get into the YouTube meta and discussions relative to that in part 3. So this is part 2. After this video comes part 3. So now this video has outlined why you should be very careful in how you judge your channel. Don't purely trust in view counts. Trust in consistency and quality of production. Now on to part 3. We'll cover the issue of the meta.